All right. Hi, Peter. I'm Sarah Smith. Thank you for being here. I understand you've come in as it was recommended by your primary care physician at your last annual checkup. So I understand that some of the reasons you're here are to discuss some difficulty that you've been having in the recent months, feeling down, and that it's begun to affect your health. So can you tell me a little bit more about why you're here and what you've been experiencing?
Yeah, I feel like a mess. I mean, I'm gaining weight. I don't feel like hanging out with people, but I also don't like being alone. My apartment's a wreck, and I'm just struggling to focus at work. And I wish I could get myself together and just act like more of a responsible adult.
Okay. So you seem to be struggling in some various areas that you've mentioned, your health, your social life, your living space, and your work experience are some of the things that have been affected. Could you just take me through a typical day to kind of see what you're dealing with and what thoughts and feelings you're having?
Um, yeah, sure. Well, I think we can start with yesterday. Yesterday was one of those days where I just wanted to go back to bed or start over on the right foot. I just wasn't feeling it yesterday. I mean, so I woke up, of course, not when I should have, because ideally I would have some time to read and do my journaling in the mornings, but I snoozed through the alarm. So I ended up rushing to work and I was about 12 minutes late. I keep showing up just a little bit late and it's just frustrating.
Okay. What happened after that?
Well, I was stressed that my boss would say something to me. Um, I really need to be on time because I do customer service in a call center. It puts stress on my team when I'm not on time. I enjoy my team a lot and I feel like I should be doing a better job, but I just feel like I'm doing the bare minimum to get by. I mean, I went home and I started snacking because I had forgotten my lunch. So all I had was a bunch of coffee and donuts that someone had brought into work. Uh, Before I knew it, I'd eaten a whole sleeve of Oreos. I was just mad at myself. I planned to go to my sister's house for dinner, but I wasn't hungry and I felt gross. So I just watched season 2 of Stranger Things and fell asleep on the couch. I didn't even sleep in my bed because all of my clean clothes were on there for me to put away. But of course, I didn't do that either.
Okay. Okay. So what was going through your mind when you got home from work?
I knew I should exercise, but I just didn't want to. I mean, I was feeling just tired, sluggish. Then I knew it was all out the window after I started eating the Oreos. Might as well just go to sleep.
Okay. Um, Well, I'd love to show you this just diagram. You can think of it as a triangle. You can see here. I just love for you to be aware of it as we continue our session. This is the main idea behind cognitive behavior therapy. So our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all interrelated. Thoughts feed our feelings. Feelings affect our behaviors, and our behaviors reinforce our thoughts. So they're all interrelated. And that can actually be good news and bad news. So I'd like you to just be mindful of that as we keep discussing what's going on here. So when I ask questions about what you're thinking in certain circumstances, we may begin to see links between the thoughts that you're having and the feelings and the behaviors that come. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Would it be okay if we focus on the last situation that you were describing, when you didn't go to your sister's house because you had gotten home and eaten Oreos instead of going for a run?
Yeah, sure.
I
That's
think it
fine.
would I think it would help us to kind of break it into pieces, and then maybe as we dissect your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, we could you could learn to do it on your own. Okay.
Okay.
So what was the most distressing part of that experience for you?
The worst part was that I really wanted to exercise, and I just yet again didn't do it. I mean, I know I should, and I literally just did the opposite. And I make plans and I set goals, and I never follow through.
Okay. So what does that mean to you that you didn't exercise?
It means I don't do what I'm going to say what I set out to do. I mean, I can't follow through. Maybe. You know.
Okay. And what does that mean to you that you can't follow through, or if you don't do what you say you're going to do?
I mean, when it comes to my health, I think it means if you don't follow through, then I mean, I'm failing myself.
Okay. Do you believe that you're a failure?
Sometimes I do, yeah.
Have you always have you always believed that, or do you remember a time when you began to think that way, that you were a failure?
Well, everybody in my family has always been really disciplined. As a kid, I always wanted, seconds for with food, and nobody else did. And I mean, I can still remember my granddad asking me how I was staying active so that I could make up for all the food I was eating.
That must have been difficult. Um, so he would say things to you when you were a child about your eating. How do you think that may have affected you?
Yeah, I mean, he was really rigid about his diet. I mean, I think I probably adopted some of his thinking about health. He was really disciplined, like I said.
Okay. Okay, let's go back to the feeling like a failure and how that may have played into the scenario that we were discussing from yesterday. So you decided not to run. You began to eat Oreos. What was going through your mind when you were eating Oreos?
I mean, I felt like a failure, like we said. I should have just gone and stopped eating. I mean, I should have just stopped eating the Oreos.
Okay. So while we're looking at your thoughts and sort of getting to the bottom of what they mean about you, I'm noticing a lot of should statements. So I just wanted to kind of make you a little bit aware of this. I think it's helpful. It's an example of what we call a cognitive distortion. We all have them. I mean, I actually have to work on my should statements still a lot. One of my friends says to me, she'll catch me and she'll say, "Don't should on yourself." It helps us to realize that we have expectations sometimes for ourselves that we don't even realize that we have. So
Yeah.
maybe tuning into those would be something that I might have you do in between sessions. Okay, so you said you felt like a failure. Now, what made you a failure?
The fact that I didn't go for a run.
Okay, so you are a failure if you don't go for a run.
I mean, saying it like that's extreme, but I guess that's what's going through my head. Yeah.
Okay. In moments like that, what do you think is the effect of believing that you're a failure?
It just makes me want to give up on everything. Just like fail one time, it's all over. So
Okay. Okay. And how true do you think that is, that you're a failure if you don't go running?
again, I mean, that's a little extreme, but it's more about just not doing what I say I'm going to do and doing the exact opposite instead. So, I mean, maybe I'm not a failure if I don't go running, but I'm a failure because I planned to and I didn't.
Okay. So why did you plan to go running?
Not for exercise to get in shape.
Is that something that you enjoy doing?
Um, yeah, I do.
Okay. Are there thing are there other things that you enjoy doing more, that you might be more likely to do?
Well, I mean, I thought about joining the gym and doing spin classes, but I feel like I should just save the money and exercise for free. I mean, I should just be able to run outside.
Okay. There's that should again.
Oops. But, yeah.
Okay, well, let's imagine you've just gotten home and decided that you're not going to go for a run. What if we just kind of imagine with me, what if we change the way that you were thinking at that time into a more positive light? Not thinking that you're a failure, but what might you say to yourself if you could go back and reframe that thought that came after deciding not to go for a run?
I guess I could tell myself that I'm not going for a run because I don't have the energy. Um, I mean, I can still try and make other good decisions for my health.
Okay. Okay, so instead of beating yourself up, you've introduced a thought that's a bit more flexible, that suggests there are multiple avenues to reaching your goal. It doesn't have to be through a run. What might have come next if you continued with this train of thought?
Hmm. I may have felt more motivated. I mean, I guess I could still take my dog for a walk, a short walk, and I mean that would be better than just pooping out on the couch and eating.
Okay, that sounds a more constructive way of thinking for you. Now, I'd like to try. If you could remember this little triangle here: thoughts, feelings, behaviors. Would you mind breaking it down for me and just comparing the two ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving? So you can briefly name the thought, feeling, and behavior that took place yesterday, and then you can follow up by saying the thought, feeling, and behavior that we just imagined.
Okay. The thought was that I was a failure. The feeling was bad about myself, discouraged. The behavior was eating cookies and not doing anything. Then with the situation we imagined, the thought was that I haven't lost it all. I mean, I can still make good decisions. The feeling was more motivated, hopeful, and the behavior was just going for a walk instead of running.
Okay. Okay. So, what is that like for you to kind of see the two ways of thinking resulting in different feelings and actions? Um,
Oh, I mean, that feels pretty good.
yeah, I think that would be that's just an example for you to kind of use as we move forward. We're kind of running out of time for this session, but I wanted to take you through an example, and you can see if you could apply it to others throughout the week.
Okay.
So I do want to give you a little homework, if you don't mind. I'd like for you to keep track of some positives that you do achieve. So just positive achievements. If you could do you have a journal or something that you could keep it in?
I do.
So just, you could tear it out, whatever, just keep it with you. I'd like for you to note the positive steps that you're taking towards your health. Instead of having these expectations for yourself that sometimes result in these negative feelings and some of the more destructive behaviors. I think if you could see all that you are doing, focusing on the positives, then you might begin to kind of get on your own team here. So, do you think you could try that?
Yeah, I can. I can do that.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I will see you next time.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.